Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Hello, everyone. Thank you, and welcome back to another episode of Conciencia Talk. This is episode 5, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys today. We have super special guests, and we have a very good topic for all of us to learn and continue the conversation. My name is Barbara. I go as Barbie On Air. I'm a radio personality and a TV reporter, and I'm also a member of Conciencia Collective. Conciencia Collective and me too have collaborated together to create this podcast, these episodes, and this talk that we all need in the world right now. Conciencia Collective is an organization of 35 leaders, creatives, executives within the music industry. We all came together when we started seeing the injustice that was happening in the world, everything that happened with George Floyd, with Breonna Taylor, and many of us just decided that it was time that we unite our voices and we form a force to basically let everybody know how important it is for all of us to fight together for equality, for justice, for our brothers and sisters in the Black culture. And we could only do this and make a change right now if we do this all together. So thank you so much for joining us today. Today we're going to be discussing the very important topic. We're going to be talking about how Black culture has impacted fashion in the Latin space and cultural appropriation in fashion. This is something that I feel like it's very needed for us to understand, especially us that work in the Latin industry. We have urban artists, we have reggaeton artists, trap artists who basically have adopted the Black culture and used it for their advantage. And we want to explain and see, what's going on and what we should do and how we can explain to them how to properly use the Black culture's impact in fashion. So thank you so much for all of you that are tuning in with us today. And today joining me, I have amazing, beautiful people who are going to help me out throughout this whole conversation. First of all, I want to introduce Dominican and Brazilian recording artist. She does not only sing in English, she sings in Spanish, she sings in Portuguese and French. Jarina de Marco, bienvenida. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
We also have Los Rakas, compromised cousins, Raka Rich y Raka Dune, pioneers, Panamanians known for their fresh mix of hip-hop, plena, reggae, and dancehall music, and Grammy nominated. And then I also love the fact the meaning behind you guys' name and the message behind this name. Let's not give it to them right now, but I want you guys to talk about the meaning behind your name in a little bit.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Saludos.
And then last but not least, I have my friends. I've already spoken to her and I'm super excited, full of knowledge to make all of us understand a little bit better what we're going to talk about today. Shantee Rosado, assistant professor in the Africana Studies and Latino and Caribbean Studies departments at Rutgers University and PhD in sociology. Hello, Shantee.
Hola, Barbie. Very excited to be here.
Thank you all for being here with us today and taking the time to talk about this conversation and get together with us. It's very important to give everybody this important message. And I want to start off by talking about the quotes. You guys had amazing quotes, and I want everybody to understand the meaning behind the quotes that you guys chose to send over to us. and why it's so important for you guys to make a difference and stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Janita.
Jarina. Yes.
Jarina.
Well, my quote was very long. Because when I was posed the question, I did a short statement before at first, and then I realized that the issue of racism, especially where I come from, is so complex. I'm Dominican. I was born and raised there. I'm half Brazilian, but culturally and how I've identified my whole life has been mainly Dominican. Has a very complex history when it comes to racism and discrimination within itself. There's a thing called colorism that is very prevalent there, which is basically aligning oneself with whiteness and choosing to, by different methods, to look more white, like straightening your hair or bleaching of the skin or not being in the sun. So much of that had to do with my quote, because we also share the island with Haiti, which is, you know, the same tiny little island in the middle of the ocean, and there's a lot of racism against Haiti, and mostly, in my opinion, because they're way darker than us, because they had less mixing than we did, for various reasons that are historical and also very graphic and horrible as well, the reasons why. So anyways, I wanted to say all these things because the issue of Black Lives Matter matters not only in America, but also in Latin America. And there's yet to be, in my opinion, an awakening in certain places about being proud of that heritage as well as indigenous heritage, because we're so dominated with the post-colonial societies.
Of course. Do you mind reading one of the parts of your quote?
Sure. I just can't see it here. I'm not sure how to do that.
There you go.
There I am. I'm from Dominican Republic, a complicated island when it comes to its own relationship with race. Like many colonized countries, proximity to whiteness is broadly sought after. We like to talk about our great-grandfather who is Spanish with blue eyes and deny the existence of our rich African and indigenous heritage.
Thank you so much. Now I want to go ahead and talk to los Rakas. Tell me, guys, tell me your quote and then talk to me a little bit about the meaning behind it as well, and the importance for you guys to be part of this movement.
Well, the quote, okay, you want us to read it? The Latin community needs to support the Black communities because we live in the same neighborhood. We are part of the same struggle and have the same oppressor in common. Together, we are stronger. So the reason why we say that, we always preach that, because it's like I say, it's self-explanatory on the quote. You know, I mean, todos vivimos en las mismas comunidades, todos tenemos la misma lucha y todos tenemos un oppressor en común. ¿Tú me entiendes? Así que yo pienso que si nosotros nos unimos, yo creo que esa es la solución. ¿Tú me entiendes? Porque sinceramente yo no creo que ellos quieren ayudarnos a nosotros. Cuando digo ellos, the powers that be, the government, whoever is the oppressor, you know what I mean, white supremacy, you know what I mean, we all have them in common. So it's up to us to unite, you know what I mean, for this to win, you know what I mean.
Exactly. You, Rich? Talk to us, háblanos un poquito. Estás muy callado.
No se escucha.
Oh, parece que no nos escucha.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. Now, what I was going to say is that, you know, everything pretty much that what my brother said, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Like, if tú sabes, la unión hace la fuerza, y eso es lo que queríamos dar a entender, que si todos estamos oprimidos por la misma persona, entonces debemos hacer algo. Y entonces pienso que muchas veces nos tienen peleando contra nosotros mismos. So a lot of the time we're fighting against each other, and a lot of the Latin people don't want to relate to the Black struggle, you know, because they feel like, oh, well, it ain't got nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? And really it does have something to do with you, because we all live in the same community. We come from the same place and we deal with the same thing. You know what I mean? And I just think it has to do, we got to start communicating with each other and learning about each other's struggle to understand each other. I think that's part of it too.
100%. And before we move on to the beautiful Shantee, I want to ask you guys to explain to everybody the meaning behind los Rakas names. I think it's very important for everybody to know this.
It was a word in Panama to describe people from the ghetto, but like in a negative way, like ew. I mean, like those Rakas over there, you know what I mean? So us being in California, you know what I mean, extrañando nuestra cultura y eso, y viendo que todo lo que es parte de la cultura popular en Panamá, la mayoría es creada por los Rakas, por la gente de barrio, ¿tú me entiendes? Entonces nosotros decidimos llamarnos eso para demostrar al mundo que no necesariamente si eres una persona de barrio no significa que tú eres una mala persona o un maleante o lo que sea. Viene el gueto, maestros vienen en el gueto, abogados vienen en el gueto, ¿tú me entiendes? Superestrellas vienen en el gueto. Eso es lo que dimos. Y inspirar a los niños que vienen de donde nosotros venimos. Por eso nos decidimos llamarlo Rakas.
I love it. I love it. Y bueno, ahora, last but not least, like I said before, the beautiful Shantee. Talk to me, girl. Explain to us a little bit about your profession and your knowledge and about you.
Just gotta unmute myself first. Hi, everyone. I'm Shantee Rosado. I'm a PhD in sociology. And as Los Rakas were saying, a lot of us come from the ghetto, and that doesn't mean that we are bad people. I also come from the hood. I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, which sounds nicer than it is. And my research now is on Puerto Ricans and Dominicans in Central Florida and how they think about race, how they think about politics, and how they think about immigration. So I'm very excited to be here to talk about cultural appropriation. I'm really, really interested in Afro-Latinx studies, and I actually teach Los Rakas in my class. So that's so it's really awesome with them.
That's awesome, Shantee. You know, I myself had to like learn and research a little bit about what we were going to talk about today. I'm going to be honest. Obviously, we're all here to learn today, and so am I. And then I want to ask you, because this is something I have to start research. What is cultural appropriation?
Okay, so cultural appropriation, the most basic definition, is that it's someone from one culture adopting elements of someone else's culture, adopting elements of a culture that they don't belong to, right? That's the basic definition. But I think that the basic definition doesn't really get at what the problem with cultural appropriation is. So I like the more detailed description, which is cultural appropriation is about a dominant group adopting elements of an oppressed group without, usually without credit and without acknowledgement that they're doing it.
And why do you think that cultural appropriation is a problem?
I think it's a problem because what it ends up doing is it ends up devaluing the voices of people who create culture. So right now, for example, when Black people create culture and then white people appropriate it, that means that they're taking spots from Black people who could have benefited from that role, right? That platform. So when you see a white artist going on, MTV, whatever, and performing Black genres, what happens is there are Black people who created those genres who aren't on that stage. So it's really a matter of power, and where the power is going in this case is towards the people who are already dominant in a society.
100%. I want to go over and ask a question to the beautiful Jarina. How has Black culture impacted your sense of fashion? I was checking you out, and you have an amazing sense of fashion. So talk a little bit about that.
I mean, I feel like Latinos in general, we've been aligned with Black fashion since I can remember. I feel like I have a hard time differentiating what I identified as a teenager, for example. Like, I feel like these buns are very Scary Spice from the Spice Girls. But I mean, you know what? I'll say this. As a Latina with a very big butt, it was impossible for me to find jeans that fit me. And so I obviously gravitated towards things that fit me in a tailored way. And I feel like so many people of Latin descent, like me, who have a very mixed family, like my family is every color of the rainbow, um, tend to have these bodies. And so I align myself with things that fit my bootylicious booty better. And it tends to be things that look good on Black women as much as Latina women. So, you know, the cinched waist and the pants that fit just right is definitely a staple, as well as hoop earrings and your nameplate. You know, I grew up in New York for, I don't know, 12 years. I was there from when I was 19 till recently. So, you know, living in Brooklyn, it's Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and Black people kind of all have a similar stilo.
100%. Yeah, and it's beautiful, right? I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
with all respect to learn about these cultures and be able to also respect it and also like learn from it and be able to put it in your fashion a little bit to show the respect that you have towards them and show everybody, look, this is not originally maybe like from a Latino, but it is a beautiful thing and you should learn from it. And if you're going to wear it or if you're going to do it the right way, you know? Los Rakas, chicos, háblenme. Ustedes como Afro-Latinos, you guys are Afro-Latinos. How has been your experience regarding cultural appropriation of Black culture in fashion?
Yo,
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
I mean, you can see it. You can kind of see it when you see the mainstream artists in the Latin world. You see them dressing like Black people, and those are the people that are representing Black culture in the Latin world. And the Latinos, they don't really know what's going on in the. I mean, now they do because of the internet, but usually back in the days, they didn't know what was really going on in the American world. So now, you know, everything is trendy, everything is cool, but you know, when they look at artists like us, you know, they think that we're the ones that's imitating something that we started. You know what I'm saying? They looking at us like newcomers or people that, you know, that nobody know about. You know, they looking at it as like, okay, cool. You know, because they look at the people that they're showing in front of the TV as the pioneers of a genre that they didn't start. You know what I mean? And us being from the ghetto, living in the ghetto, our generation, we are those pioneers because we actually we grew up in these neighborhoods. We had to perform in front of our communities. We went to the youth centers. We were around other artists like us growing up as kids and teenagers, and we represent our communities and our music and our lyrics, and we sprinkled that sauce that a lot of the artists are using today that are making that are making it and are have become mainstream. But artists like us don't get the recognition, and part of the example I could give you is that we were the first artists, the first Latin artists to open up Coachella. So we were the first to do that, but we didn't get the recognition for that. But who got the recognition for it? And it's not to throw no jabs. We just speak in reality. But I think when we speak the truth, a lot of people get offended by it. And but who got the recognition for it was J Balvin. And there's nothing against J Balvin because we love J Balvin's music, but it's just the truth. And when we speak about the truth and we say it in our interviews or we talk about it, everybody look at us like we're bitter or we mad or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, we're not bitter, we're not mad, but we did start this. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, it's kind of disrespectful in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, a lot of our inspirations come from sweat, tears, you know, us watching our a lot of our friends get hooked on drugs, never coming back. Our friends getting locked up, going to prison for the rest of their life, never coming back. Our friends getting killed. Some of them making it, but not a lot of them making it. You know what I'm saying? And us, me and my cuz, we are the hope. We are the inspiration for them to keep going, right? But, you know, in the industry that we're playing in, you know, they choose to who they want to shine the light on. And, you know, it is what it is. We've accepted it, but that's just the truth. And when we speak on it, a lot of people get offended and they think that we're trying to make it a black or white thing. You know what I'm saying? It is not. It's not that we're trying to make it a black or white thing. It's just we just trying to make it a right thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I'm not the only person that's going to tell you guys right now that what you guys are said is facts. Like, it's true. Like, I thought J Balvin, because of the headlines, was the first Latino to step foot in Coachella, but it's not true. It was actually you guys.
Yeah.
And that comes to show, you know, what is going on. There's something wrong, because I just learned this from you guys telling me this. And I'm sure everybody, most of the people here watching are also mind blown right now about the truth behind what really is happening, you know? Shantee, I know you have something to share about this as well. Talk to me, girl.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a quick anecdote from actually my class. So when I showed Bien Ribeteado, which is one of my favorite songs from Los Rakas. And the video, I mean, I'm sure they can speak on the video more than I can, but the video has like tons of elements of hip hop. There's breakdancing, there's graffiti. It's amazing. So my students are watching this, and then one student says, oh, why is it that when Latinos do hip hop, they always want to seem like African Americans? And I had to kind of stop the student and say, why is it that you believe that hip hop was only created by African Americans? Because hip hop grows out of, you know, the 70s with Puerto Ricans, African Americans, Jamaicans, other Caribbean people. Los Rakas are from the Caribbean, you know, and so it's like, why is it that you see this as an appropriation of something that doesn't belong to them, when really not only is it part of who they are, but they're also like really respecting and showing hip hop's influences. So I think that's just an example of how people often, the separation of Latinidad and Blackness is a big part of the problem. It explains why no one recognized you as the first Latinos who opened Coachella. Why do we think of Black people as not Latinos? Why do we say Black culture and Latin space when those things can happen together and do oftentimes?
Right.
Exactly.
Go ahead. We can't hear you.
Muted.
Oh, here I am. It's not just with hip hop, it's with everything. It's like you have to have bananas in your hair and maracas to be identified as a Latina or Latino or Latinx. And it's also in the pop and electronic music, everything. You have to be so obviously Latino in every way, shape, or form for them to say, oh, it's a Latin pop act. You can't just be whatever it is your expression musically.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people get confused like culture with race, you know, like I heard like a quote Tego said before. He was like, if people ask me if I'm Latino or if I'm Black, he gonna say Black, because anywhere around the world before they speak Spanish, they gonna see a Black man. You know what I mean? So like, you know, it's like a lot of people. Sometimes people be like, or when I was in high school, for example, right? I grew up with a lot of Mexicans. You know, it's some culture division sometimes, you know, and then they will be like, hey, ¿qué haces te mayate aquí? You know what I mean? Like they didn't know I spoke Spanish. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, yo no soy ni un mayate. And I'm like, oh man, okay, but you're not Black. You're not like them. You know what I mean? You're not Black. You're Latino. You know what I mean? But it's like, no, I'm Black, Latino. I'm proud to be Latino, but I'm a Black man. You know what I mean? If I here in Europe, in Asia, in Panama, anywhere I go, I'm a Black man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people get the culture and race confused.
Yeah, and another thing is that man, I forgot what I was gonna say. I really did, but it was just basically like, you know, it was just basically about, I guess it would feel different if people would show the respect to where it really came from. You get what I'm saying? But like, it's kind of like sometimes it, you know, it used to rub me the wrong way because it felt like, man, we did all this work for somebody else to enjoy it. You get what I'm saying? Like we built this bridge and we get no benefits from it, nothing. And we got to watch it from the side and watch everybody winning and enjoying it, and we get to watch it from the side, and it's like, okay, here we go again, Black people, let's reinvent ourselves.
Come up with another invention because they don't know that one.
I have an example of this in fashion that's happened recently, the last few years. I mean, two examples. One of them is one of the Kardashians, what's her name? Kylie, got on Vogue and she had cornrows and she dubbed them boxer braids. So that is a clear example of cultural appropriation. Like, we're going to take this from, you know, Black culture, repackage it, rename it, and claim it for yourselves, as well as Vogue calling the era of the butt a couple years ago. It was like the era of the ass. Like we had moved on from the boobs in the 80s, and now we're in the era of the butt when we've been on the butt since forever, right? And the reason why we were in the era of the butt, it wasn't because of J-Lo, it was because of Kardashians, which is, come on, we know that's ridiculous too, because it's also not a real butt. But yeah, no shame.
I love it.
But it's true.
It is 100% true, girl. 100% true. And then since Latinx, they have these like famous people like the Kardashians per se as role models, right? Do you think that has caused the Latinx community to be appropriators when it comes to them adopting the Black American culture?
I wouldn't say that it was the fault of the Kardashians, because I mean, cultural appropriation has been happening in Latin America since we even started coming to this country. So I think that you see it way, way earlier. I mean, look no further than tango in Argentina. Look no further than white artists performing bomba in Puerto Rico. Like, look no further than all of these examples of people kind of taking up cultures that are usually seen as marginal. I mean, look at the history of reggaeton, right? These are cultures. I lived in Puerto Rico when reggaeton was coming up, and we used to perreal in the buses, in the school buses. Like it was a pretty crazy time, you know. This is like 1988. And to see that, something that was so marginalized, because we were seen as like, you know, lo negrito de Carolina, we were seen as like the marginal people, gente de calle, gente de barrio. And to see reggaeton kind of being taken up by white-ish faces and reaching a global space from that proximity to whiteness that Jarina says in her quote, that is cultural appropriation. That is the use and adoption of culture for your profit while not acknowledging that others have created the culture.
In Latinidad, right? And like it within the Latin community. I have a question for you, Sean. Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So because so many of us in Latin America are so mezclados, and you know, my mother is the darkest of three sisters, my grandmother is the lightest of her siblings, and she's half Black, half white, and so we're so, you know, mezclado. I look the way I look, but I'm definitely, you know, a very multicultural. And I grew up, for example, in DR. My mother is a musical anthropologist, so I grew up going to seeing todos los palos, la salva y la bomba, toda esa música del campo. Yo me la sé, o sea, la siento en la sangre, y aparte de todo, son gente que yo me crié con ellos, ¿verdad? My question to you is, how is it if you physically don't necessarily look like you're either indigenous or Afro-descendant, but still carry that culture with you musically and also culturally, and the way you speak and the way you move in the world, are able to make music or art or fashion and give homage to that as well at the same time? How do you, because it's so complex to be Latino. It's not just, you're not just white or Black, or, you know, just how you're also Black and you're also Latino. How does one do that?
Well, I'm a Black Latina. Like, both my parents are Latinos. So I think that's when you say like Black and Latino, it can seem like you mean two separate things. So I think the issue just becomes when people take things, right, even if they have a connection with it, if you know that you're perceived physically as non-Black and you're going to perform a Black musical genre, wear, you know, a Black hairstyle, whatever, you have to be ready for that kind of leading to the erasure of Black people. So how are you addressing that, right? How are you giving people space to kind of take up that role? So right now, for example, someone could have said, well, we can find whatever expert and put them on, you know, this talk show, but instead they asked me, right? So that's putting someone who has historically been marginalized in the space to share their culture and their knowledge. In the same way that, like, if you reach a certain platform, you should use that platform to lift up those who come from where you come from and might still be oppressed. And I think that's where the distinction comes in. Yes, we all have very mixed families, but we also have to acknowledge that, especially in a US space, Blackness means something very specific. There's a very specific history of Blackness in the US that means that even if we're both Dominican, which we are, my life experiences are going to be incredibly different from yours, just based off of how we look.
Yeah,
so I think that's something to think about, right? Is like what.
I think my question was more pertaining to the arts, because I obviously know that people that look like me move in a different way than someone that looks like you in the world, and I can be white passing or at least experience white privilege with certain people. But I mean, like, for example, like a J Balvin, whoever does reggaeton now, I don't even know anymore, honestly. Whoever does reggaeton now, like, what would have been the best scenario for someone who took reggaeton into the stratosphere of, who's the guy who does it, Despacito? Oh my God, I'm so bad, you guys. Who's the guy that's Luis Fonsi or some shit like that? Like, some old school. Right. Right. Like, how would someone like that come out and still, you know, rep PR, because it is Puerto Rican and he is Puerto Rican, but is light skinned and is taking music from the Black experience of Puerto Rico and honor it? How does someone like that do that?
Well, I think, can I speak on it?
Yeah, please.
I think for me is, being that I am from these places, I feel like the best way of doing it, I think in the Bay Area, the best example that we had of it was G-Eazy. I don't know if you guys have heard of the rapper G-Eazy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, G-Eazy is a white rapper from Oakland, California. And every tour that he did, he would bring somebody that was from our neighborhood, that was from that was from the Bay Area, that was Black, that gay, you know what I'm saying? That was part of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Every tour, he would bring somebody new that nobody ever heard of, and he'll bring them on tour with him and share his platform. You know, it's that simple. It's just sharing your platform with artists that inspire you, and making sure that it just keeps going that same way. I feel like the music game, the industry has become so selfish that that we have to change the culture in that aspect. You know, we have to change it, because, you know, if I have an opportunity, I'm gonna make sure that I pass it on to somebody else. You know, that's just how we move. That's just how we move. You know, we always thinking about other people, because that's how we were brought up. We were brought up to always look out for your friends, look out for your community. And I think that, you know, these artists probably have not been taught this. You know what I mean? And I think now that we're having this conversation, it's something that we need to reach out to them and possibly let them know, like, yo, okay, you guys have done so well. Okay, it's time to put on people that, you know what I mean? Or bring somebody on, or like you always have to give back. I just think that's where we need to start it. Just giving back to the people that inspired you. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what other ways. I think G-Eazy started it off very well by bringing people on tour with him, making songs with them. I think that's a start. You know what I mean? I don't know what other things we could come up with, but I think that's a start right there.
Yeah, that's a start right there. I was gonna say that, because Rico always say that, like, bro, like, you come from this culture, like he said, you know, the culture where it's a lot of people on drugs, we have lost a lot of our friends, you know what I mean? Like, that's what have made this culture, you know what I mean? All of those tragedies, that's what have made this culture, this hip hop, you know what I mean? This music comes from struggle, you know?
Yeah.
So come back and bring somebody from those communities, bring those people up.
Yeah, hip hop, dancehall, reggae, bachata, merengue, salsa, rock and roll, todos esos géneros de música vinieron de la cultura de los negros o de los sufridos, la música de gente sufrida, porque también, como dijo la compañera, que el hip hop no solamente fue con negros, sino también fueron con los puertorriqueños, gente de todos lados. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how do you guys think that more people could share the microphone, you know?
Share the mic?
Yeah, how can more people share the mic about this and like give more opportunities and give more credit? Besides maybe bringing somebody in on tour, what are other ways in another creator spaces that they can also give more credit back to the Black community, Black culture?
Make a song with them, just mention them on the interview, you know what I mean? A lot of these big artists, you know, they come up to us and they keep it real with us. They be like, hey man, you guys were the inspiration, you know what I mean? I've been listening to you guys' music, you guys built the bridge, but they have never said it on the interview though. Like, tell it to your, you know what I mean? Tell it to your fans, tell it to
and put you on a feature.
And it's crazy, right? Because these are like simple questions. These are simple things that you guys are basically telling us that they can do. I interview artists basically almost on the daily, and we do ask them, who inspires you, you know, or who would you like to collaborate with? And if this, you know, honestly, they barely ever do give that credit.
They don't want to do that. They don't want to do. I don't know if it's just business or some business strategy.
They're just afraid. They're afraid that the spotlight's gonna be taken away from them if they don't just focus on themselves. It's just a matter of, I think it's fear-based.
Yeah.
And a little bit of selfishness, honestly.
Greed.
It's greed. It's so hard to get on in that big way. So I think people kind of lose sight that it wasn't just them who made it. It was a whole team of people and people believing in them, and everyone else deserves that opportunity. In fact, I feel like there's so many artists that have made it in such a big way that I think it's kind of like it should be a duty of every big artist to like say, okay, I've made my bazillions, I've said my message to the world. Now I'm gonna develop certain acts that need developing, and I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is and elevate people who are like me and push them to the forefront because I have that kind of power now. Because we have to go up to these white executives and be like, hey, hi, it's the little guy. I'm Latina, but I also speak in English, and I make weird music, and it's not the maracas and the bananas in the hair, you know. And if we could eliminate having to talk to those dudes who understand us, and have someone like, say, a Beyonce or J-Lo, whoever that's big, can pluck someone out of their own culture and understand them, and they don't have to explain it to them, then we're in a better place musically and culturally.
Yeah, and I think, you know, in hip hop, you see a lot. Like in hip hop, you know, United States is known that Black culture is like mainstream. You know what I mean? It's known. In Latin America, that is not. It's not known. Like if you put all the reggaetoneros, you're not gonna see how many Black people in reggaeton are big right now. If you guys will have to think a lot hard.
Ivy Queen, but that's because I'm old. No, I don't know.
Now is Sesh.
That's the only one.
And that's the only one. Yeah.
You know, it should be at least out of 100 reggaetoneros, it should be at least 50, right?
Hey, listen. So okay, let's just say all time, right? We got Don Omar. Tego. We got well.
But she's not reggaeton, but you know.
No, Celia Cruz.
Ivy.
No, Ivy.
I love Ivy. Ivy got soul, but I don't know if she negra. I don't know if she negra like that.
No, that's a Black.
She's not about being negra. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Evie, that makes sense. That makes sense because she got soul. Okay, who else?
Okay, does it have to be reggaeton or is it every genre?
We're talking about reggaeton right now. We're talking about reggaeton.
Reggaeton. Ya, I tap out.
El general.
We're missing OG Black. We're missing. so many reggaetoneros from PR. OG Black was one of the originals that no one even thinks about today.
Hey, what about Randy?
Yeah, like there's a lot of. So I think Bad Bunny did a good job of kind of like honoring early reggaetoneros in his last album, and I thought that was like, yes, like this is an example of someone who's using his power to put on the people that influenced him. But then you have obviously the Super Bowl performance, which I think was a bit of a disappointment because I think it further separated or widened that gap between Latinos and African Americans that could have been bridged at a point where people should have been like, we're in solidarity with each other.
Well, besides this, we do have some fans in the group chat, guys. I want to ask some questions to us. So we have here a question from Maddie B. If Black and Latinos are constantly having to invent and create, how are we able to monetize to be able to be owners of our own creativity?
So,
like, how can they? Since right now, everybody's just always trying to invent something new and create new things, but then they forget that you also have to put in work to be able to monetize, to make money off of this creativity and the things that you're trying to make, to be able to be owners of that creativity and make money and live off of your basically your talent. How can they do that? How do you guys think they can do that?
Unfortunately, it's all part of the game. It's part of the process. Like when you're inventing something, you're not even thinking about it. It's just happening. You're just creating. And then if the right way of doing it is, okay, I'm going to create hip hop. So guess what? I'm going to copyright this, right? I'm going to buy the ownership to this. But then, that's not how hip hop was created. So you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a hard thing to kind of figure out unless it's like a clothing, like something that, that might sell, you know what I mean? From a marketing standpoint. But like music is just totally different because it's something that comes within, you know what I'm saying? It's something that is inside of you. So
I mean, there are things that one can do as an artist and educate yourself as a creator to make sure that your music is protected. I mean, that's basic, copyright law. Basically, if you're a musician, you should join ASCAP or BMI, which is free, and you register your songs so that your songs are copywritten. And that is a way to ensure that no one can take your shit. That's just, simple, basic music business stuff.
For sure.
But that for sure is something you can do.
Yeah. We get so caught up in being creative, that we're basically sometimes like forget that this is something, if you want to be successful, you got to make money somehow, and I think a lot of talented people get lost and they never find a way or the help that they need, to be able to make money off of amazing talent. What do you guys think that fashion has negatively impacted the Black community?
I don't really understand the question.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even possible.
Like maybe is there any fashion out there that you guys think that basically gives like a negative representation of the Black community?
I mean, it's all expression.
Their skin, I think. I don't know. like, don't do that, bro. You making us look bad.
What you talking about? You talking about Sammy Sosa?
I think the question is more about like cultural appropriation of fashion, right? Like, is that more of the idea?
Like, basically, we have like a Kylie Jenner, who does her lips, and then she sells lipsticks, because and then she sells herself as having this beautiful, delicious lips that she doesn't really have, and she makes money off of it. That's a negative way. She doesn't really.
So you're talking about with other people, not with Black people.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, no, other people. Not Black.
Okay, that makes more sense because I was gonna say like it's expression. It's so
cool that she has this style, that it's not necessarily a style that she got from white people,
She got lucky that she did it in the 90s before the internet.
Yeah.
Hey, to be fair, man, a lot of these people just get told what to do. You know what I mean? So for like artists like Gwen Stefani, like I like her music too. I grew up listening to No Doubt. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't have a problem with all of that. It's just I think the best thing to do about it is just always showing love, always making sure that the light is getting pointed at somebody that you got the style from. Because really we can't do nothing about it. Eventually people gonna like something and they're gonna want to do it too. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I think what happens is it gets all messed up when artists don't show love to artists that they got it from. Because guess what? While you living your best life from something that we started, we out here still living in the ghetto, struggling, trying to figure out, you know, what's our next move. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think it's just something is really difficult because I don't know what you guys think. I don't.
No, yeah, that's it. Because you know we gonna inspire people. You know what I mean? Our culture is so swaggy. We gonna inspire people. You know what I mean? But it's just about giving back. It becomes a problem when the people that invented it is not you don't benefit from it. You know, like the people that started hip hop. You know, like Grandmaster Flash and all those people. You know what I mean? Like. You know, like Nori say all the time, we should have something for those people, man, because we making millions of dollars because of them. You know what I mean? Because of the people that start. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have something to add to that as well. So much of music itself, not the way we look, has to do with fusion. Like everything that we listen to is fusion. From the beginning of time, and not just with music, but like with medicine, like eye surgery happened in the Middle East, and humans have to constantly be exchanging ideas at all times for us to be able to evolve as people. Now, when it comes to fashion and everything else that we're talking about right now, like you were saying, honoring and making sure that you're bringing the spotlight to where it comes from is important. But you guys know about this thing that's going on with Trader Joe's, with like Trader Jose and all those things, right? I'm curious to see what you think, Shantee, about this, because this is where I find that appropriation gets to a place where it's just ridiculous, where we should be able to exchange ideas respectfully and influence each other without having to just be homogenized societies that everyone has to be in their lane. I'm Latina, so I can never, I don't know. I don't even know. I have an example of what I can't do, but because I'm Latina, I have to have, again, maracas and bananas in my hair, right? So, you know, I'm able to move around the world and feel free to be able to explore these different cultures respectfully, obviously. For example, Trader Joe's. Right now, they're trying to take away branding in Trader Joe's that talks about where it comes from. So, like, for example, Colombian beans are called Trader Jose. Bagels are called Trader Joseph. This Chinese pot stickers are called Trader Ming. And this 17-year-old white girl went on Twitter and did this whole thing that's appropriation, and 1,000 people signed up for it, mostly white people. No one ever asked Latinos or anyone of color if it was a problem. And guess what? When I go to Trader Joe's, I love seeing Trader Jose, and I call Trader Joe's Trader Jose. And I like seeing myself represented in products, and that not everything is a white guy, right? Yeah. So there's a point where appropriation becomes like almost a restriction when it's done in a way that I don't know how to explain it. I wanted to ask you, Shantee, what do you think about that?
Well, I feel like what you're explaining is an example of just like white guilt in override. Like I think we've seen numerous examples of this since the resurgence of BLM this year. Although curiously, not when BLM started in 2013 or 2012. So you see people like, I don't know, there was an episode of the Golden Girls that was taken off because they wear like a brown face mask in the episode, and they thought that Black people would view that as like blackface. And it's like, no, we're not that sensitive. Like, hello, if you're Black in this world, you have to have a thick skin. Yeah. And so we don't really care about those superficial things. So something like Trader Jose's, I really don't care. Like, frankly, I don't care. I think it's actually more offensive for the CEO of Goya to go on a, you know, presser with Donald Trump and say, I'm glad that we have this president. That's more offensive to me than Trader Jose's.
Man, because I love sazon. I love sazon. So it's like, man, I'm like, that's how I cook all my food. So I'm like, dude, you got me in a weird situation because this is all I do. Just cook with your food, with your seasoning, bro.
What are you doing?
Go buy some local seasonings. They taste better than that. Okay, that's what we have to do. Guys, well, as a Latinx, that I was born in Venezuela. I came here when I was 5. I was raised in Miami. I was raised on hip hop. I was raised on reggaeton. I was raised on salsa, merengue. But hip hop was part of me growing up here in the U.S. You know, and I love it. I jam to it in my car. You know, sometimes I relate a lot to this music, the hip hop music, the reggae. I love reggae. Sometimes I like to put braids in my hair. You know, it's just something I like to do. And it's really important for me and for you guys to help me out and help everybody else understand how we can avoid cultural appropriation. Where is there that line that we cannot cross?
Just giving back, man. Just giving back. Just giving back, like he says. Just give back respect to where you, as long as you're not doing nothing like, I don't know, nothing weird, you know what I mean?
You know, what does that mean?
Like my voice,
you know what I mean?
You know, the sound, you know, different. Like maybe like don't change the sound of your voice or try to sound different. You know, I'm Latina, you know, I speak Spanish, hola, what's up, you know, like I don't try to like change myself, but maybe that could be one of the ways that people actually like some white people, I would say some white supposedly famous people who try to act like there's something that they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like this girl Batty, I don't know what her name is, but whatever. Yeah. The girl from Dr. Phil.
Oh yeah, Catch Me Outside. What even is that? I mean, that's appropriation for sure.
Catch me outside. Hey, it's like white people when they say nigga, you know, like I had a real hard time with that when I was younger, but then I realized that, like, you know, if you from the hood, you know, if you grew up in the hood amongst, you know, brown people, black people, it's good, you're good. You know what I mean? Because you grew up with them. You grew up.
Shantee's like, no.
That's how I look at it. No. Like, hey, that's how I look at it. But you can tell when somebody's trying to say nigga to be cool.
Hey, you know, hey, dude.
Like Latinos, like Mexicanos. We live in Oakland where los chinos dicen nigga. Hey, what's good, nigga? You feel me? Los mexicanos dicen eso. But you can tell when somebody just saying it because they grew up.
Yeah, like in the Bay Area. In the Bay Area, because a lot of people don't know how we live over here, dude.
Okay.
So out here in the Bay Area,
it's like too. Don't get wrong. It's the same where I grew up. Puerto Ricans say the N word. I learned more.
Yeah.
I do not condone it.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think growing up over here, it's just part of our culture how we talk, you know. And so I remember doing in the beginning when you hear a few of our white friends be like, you know, they would use it. Doing be like, nah, bro, nah, don't call me that, bro. Don't call me that.
I find it weird.
And they would have to tell no, but they wouldn't be nigger. They wouldn't say nigger. They would say nigga.
Not a hard R.
They'd be like my nigga. I mean, you know, it's weird. It's taboo to the world, but over living in the Bay, everybody says it, and it's part of one culture. I feel like it's not offensive how people were using it over here. You know, everywhere is different. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think the issue becomes the history of the word, right? So it's a word that's been reclaimed because it has historically been used to put down Black people. And so African Americans in particular. So African Americans readopted, reclaimed the word, and now people who live in oppressed conditions feel like just because they live in the hood, they can say it. But if you were never called the N-word, or your ancestors were never called the N-word as a way to keep them down, you shouldn't be using the N-word. That's my view, my personal view.
Okay.
Also, can I say one more thing? I just feel like, you know, nigger is not a skin color. You get what I'm saying? So if people, if you know,
I know exactly where you got that.
Yeah, it's not a skin color. So you know, I understand. You know, when people, you know, I just feel like, I just think that, you know, I just don't want the world to get too sensitive on a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like
it's a distraction sometimes.
Yeah, like I think it's just, we need to be realists on certain things. Like I feel like, you know, growing up in the Bay made me look at life differently because, okay, everybody uses it, but he's not saying it to offend me. He's using it as a brother. He's calling me his brother. You get what I'm saying? And I think that, I think we're getting distracted on a lot of other things. Just,
like Trader Jose. Dumb.
It's like
that's like putting a paint job on a shitty car. Like, really, we're gonna solve racism or a fucking Trader Jose? No me joda, mi coño.
Yeah, like it's what's in people's hearts. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it you know, like what she said earlier. She said that her family is from everywhere. It's different colors and everything. It's like us, even including Dun Dun. Like our family is so mixed. You know, I got Chinese. You know, we got indigenous. We're so mixed in our family, and you know, it's hard for us. It's a hard balance to be in. You know, but then when you know what I mean, it's just it's a touchy situation, and you don't want to say the wrong things. You know what I mean?
100%. You know, when I was told that I was going to join this conversation, I got curious and I Googled a couple things about fashion and the Black culture, you know, and then I just want everybody, because I know a lot of reggaeton artists who wear these things, and I'm 100% sure they don't even know what it means. Let's talk about the do-rags. The do-rags were originally worn by African American women slaves in the 19th century, to maintain their hairstyles. We're going to talk about grills. The grills started in New York by hip-hop artists in the 1980s. Braids, cornrows, dreadlocks. All of these braids are from tribes from Africa, and they all have meanings. Some have meanings that say that you're a leader of your tribe. Others have meanings that say that you're looking to date, to get married. Others have meanings that say that you already a married man, even for the guys. Some mean that you already, like, you know, you're woman when you're your 15s and los Latinos. Well, sometimes that means for some tribes that the braids, the styles, the way that they're decorated. So I think that it's important that for anybody who's going to do these things, learn and educate yourself before you go out on the street and go get a do-rag or wear a do-rag or get some, you know, or get some braids in your hair, you know, because
white people with dreads,
you know, it's something just because it's cool.
We're all laughing because of the do-rags, because to be honest,
the do-rag.
White person wearing a do-rag, it's like,
but there is
it doesn't look great either.
My brother, don't, like, if your hair is not kinky, my brother, you don't need a do-rag, my brother. That's fashion.
Hey, listen.
You look good, but that's not fashion, brother. It's my hair, bro.
Hey, dude, and I'm gonna be 100 with everybody. Do-rags been so out of fashion for over 15 years. Please, no more do-rags.
Yeah,
unless you're gonna wear it at home before you go to sleep. Unless when you're gonna go to sleep, you can wear your do-rag. Not at the party, bro. Stop it, please.
I know we're wrapping it up, but I have a question for Shantee, because I heard that what you were saying earlier, that you're studying specifically for Floridian Latinos, Dominican and Puerto Rican, right? Girl, what is going on in Florida with these Dominicans and Puerto Ricans? Like, how are they voting down there? Are we going to have another, like, Floridian Republican wave? I mean, I know the Cubans are down there, and some of those Cubans ain't helping our cause.
Yeah. Well, Central Florida, if you look at the 2016 map from the election, Central Florida, where Puerto Ricans and Dominicans tend to live, went blue. So they're not the
Thank
ones
God.
fucking
So
up.
we're not the guilty ones.
They're
Okay.
not the ones fucking up.
Thank God.
Wow, yeah, they waking up. Hey, but it's important for the black and it's important for the black and brown community to get together. You know what I'm saying? It's more important than ever today. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm telling you, la unión hace la fuerza. It sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. You know,
No, it's
if
also,
it's
isn't it
you know if
also on the Haitian flag, the Haitian motto?
and I think you know yeah, I think they want to make it, you know, of course they make it a black and white thing. We didn't start that. So the
We're
only way
also
to
marginalized too. Latinos are as marginalized as I mean, depending on what kind of Latino, but we are marginalized people. They're putting kids in cages, and they're Mexican. They're not black, and they're in cages too. Like we're equally marginalized. And I think there's this myth of some Latinos that think that they're better than because they're not black, and it's bullshit and it's dumb, and it really playing at their hand.
Yeah, it's crazy because you know it's like somebody get oppressed, right? And then this other group of people look down on this group of people, and this group of people look down on this group of people to feel better about themselves. And it's like, bro, we none of us winning, bro. Might as well all of us unite. You know, over here in the Bay Area, we have Asian, we have Middle Eastern, we got all of us need to unite. You know, and the reason why we talk about black and brown unity is because you know, like places like LA, you know, California is been divided. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it started from the prison system and it's built up from the streets. So it's been riots. Even when I was in high school, it would be like Mexicans against black and stuff like that. And they'd be like, dude, who you gonna pick? I'm up in the studio, bro. I'm up there in the studio, bro. I don't, y'all fighting over none. You know what I mean? So that's why we be preaching that, you know. But not to say that Latinos and Mexicans don't support black people, because historically we have seen that, like with the Black Panthers, the Brown Beret, you know, they were there for the Black Panthers and vice versa. But we're saying like regular us people.
We need more unity, more.
Yeah. Like, don't just listen to our music. Don't just dress like us. Be a part of us, because we want to be a part of you. You know,
vote it in our interest too. You know, like you can't just want to be part of the culture and not want to help the culture. And helping the culture is by voting with people who are there to help us and progress.
This was wonderful, guys. Thank you so much to every single one of you that took the time to talk to me and everyone who is here with us today in this conversation. I learned today many things that I didn't know before, and I was able to make new friends. So I'm super excited to continue the conversation. I invite all of you who are here today with us to tune in next week, because next week we're going to have another amazing episode. We're going to be talking about mental health. So make sure you tune in. And we also ask for you guys to please make change, be heard, make a post, sign a petition, go out, protest. You know, obviously protest with the measures necessary, but also sign petitions, donate, do what you can do. We're gonna leave the information here for you guys to sign petitions that we recommend for you guys to do. And I want to thank Rakas, I want to thank Shantee, and I want to thank Jarina and Marco for being here with us today. Thank you guys. This was a wonderful, amazing conversation.
Thank you, ladies.
Sam, thank you so much. Nice meeting you all.
Likewise.
Bendiciones.
Until next time.